This is MJ. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an analyzer. Find all my work at mjmunoz.com. Prepare yourself for some off-the-cuff book talk as I tackle another middle grade book chapter by chapter. In Secret Garden chapter 11, we get to see this growing bond between Mary and Dickon as he is showing her how to do things in the garden, and he even compliments the fact that she is doing good work kind of instinctively. He says like, "Hey, I thought you didn't know anything about gardening," and this is going back to maybe chapter 9, whenever she entered the secret garden for the first time, when she saw some plants that like they were weeding or they were weeded. Or they had weeds in them and some other things, and she like thinned them out and pulled stuff away. And he said that that was really good work. And she asks him all these questions about flowers, and she wants to know like what can they get going there. And they talk about the Mary Mary Quite Contrary thing that she got from the. Well, let me see if I can scan this real quick and find the children who gave her that name. No, I don't know who. Anyway, yeah, so she wants to know if there are silver bells and things that look like shells, maybe, I think. For sure, stuff that looks like bells that can be planted in the garden. He says there's already one type of flower that grows pretty commonly, and that's been mentioned before. And I don't know much about flowers, so. And then there's other stuff that takes like 2 years to germinate and come up and or bloom into its flower or bell looking like flower. But he's trying to help her with that, and it's interesting because he sees this totally different side of her than these other children did, and she says, "I think they were contrary, not me," and that's kind of fun. And she also, they also talking about how like she's getting fat, and I think the way that people thought about fat back then versus the way they think about fat now is totally different, wildly different. I think it's because back in the olden days, if you got sick, you would die if your body just like gave out on you from not having enough nourishment. And this book is old. I feel like it's about 100 years old, but I don't see on Project Gutenberg here the actual publication date of it. Let me just roll back real quick and see if I can find it. No, but it is in the public domain, which means it's a certain 18. No, she lived 1849 to 1924, and this book was published. It doesn't say when the principal publishing was done, so I'm not going to get distracted by that. But anyway, I think it like she was skinny and like sickly, and now that she's exercising and she has an appetite, she's exercising and moving her body, and it's getting her to the point where she has a good appetite. So then she's eating. So then she's not scrawny and skinny. She's like healthfully. She's not fluffy, and she's not husky, but she is healthy, and I think that's good and fun and cool and kind of like an interesting way for things to be assessed. That like we live in a physical world. This isn't the era of video games. It isn't the era of television and movies. If kids wanted to play and have fun, they didn't do this. They went outside and they skipped rope, or they planted gardens apparently, or various different things like that. And I think that's very like lovely and beautiful and kind of nostalgic and idyllic. And the book isn't saying, and I'm not saying that the older world was perfect, but there are certainly merits and good things in it. And I really like Dickon ends up saying something about like it's almost as, I don't know if Frances Hodgson Burnett is Christian or was Christian, whatever. And I don't know if she's like advocating or espousing like this Christian ethic, or like it was like Protestant or Puritan ethic of like work is good and work will save you or whatever. But I mean, the work is saving Mary. Like it is true to an extent in this book, but I know for a fact that when people are dealing with depression and things like that, if they can focus on somebody outside of themselves, if they can focus on something outside of themselves, it does help them to gain perspective and to feel good. If they are, sleeping too much, eating too much, just watching stuff over and over again because they feel depressed, they can, in some ways, and this is not mental health advice, and I'm not trying to say it is, but I've seen it in, what do they call that? I've seen it in personal cases, let's say, where somebody has been convinced to do something or compelled to do something, and they've gone out and done it, and all of a sudden they go from being closed and sad and just upset in general to opening up and having some perspective, having a shift in perspective, having a shift in mindset, and being able to escape the drudgery and the dullness and the, like, their world has a shine to it because they were able to look outside of themselves and focus on building and doing and helping somebody outside of themselves. And I think that's really beautiful. And I think we're kind of seeing that in an interesting way here with Mary. And, you know, Dickon is a happy boy. I think because he's out there and he's doing things and he's interacting with the world in a very positive way. And I think it's lovely. I think it's absolutely lovely. I'd love to know what you think about this, and I also encourage you, I'll just do this now, to check out growbugs.com to find out the latest about my new book. I'm working very hard. I had to restructure this book, book one of a trilogy that I'm working on. It tells a complete story, but that's not the part that was a problem. I had to elevate the idea because it was a little lowbrow, I guess you could say, or there was just something insufficient about what I had currently going. So I reworked the premise and I did a lot of work on that. I'm about a third through expanding the outline so that I can see the whole outline of the book and then say, am I satisfied with this? Do I need to tweak things? And then I will start going in and writing the actual chapters. But it's a book that features magical bugs battling monsters, and it's a book that features a boy who's having issues with he's not an orphan, he has a family, a good loving family. He's having issues with his family, and he goes on an adventure, partly on his own and then partly with the aid of a magical bug specifically, that helps him overcome these issues that he's having and escape from a great danger that he's facing. And then he has to, when he's out of that danger, figure out what he's going to do next with his life. And, well, let's just say he thought he was out of the danger, but it wasn't quite over. So things will get even more exciting, and the stakes will ratchet up, and it'll become an increasingly more and more fun and exciting adventure story. So anyway, yeah, that's what I have working on. You go to growbugs.com, GROBUGS.com, to sign up for the newsletter, get updates on the book, and find out some things on a weekly basis. So anyway, until next time, folks, take care, be well.